So here I am with Zoltan, who doesn't give his last name and won't let me
Zoltan
say his
Alexander. No, I have a second name, you see.
name. And Zoltan and I met 32 years ago when we were working on Balade de L'Amour. And you were doing the photo.
Exactly.
And you were
I did
playing
you
with the
for a
photo.
picture. We did this project for French
Barge.
Vogue and Susan Barge. And I do remember inviting you with a very charming French actor
Yes.
who you were flirting with.
No, I wasn't.
No, you
flirting
were
with him, but I
flirting with,
liked
but I
him.
mean,
I
I
liked
liked that and gave a good buzz to the.
Except your idea was you were going to switch body parts with people.
Well, nothing's changed, darling.
And in the end, there were only two of us that had. I became a floating torso. Something
Oh, that's true. I cut your legs off.
you cut everything off from the. You cut from the waist down. I was missing. It kind of reminded me of Fassbender, Fox and the Friends. He was a floating head in the circus.
The good news that I was forgiven. Of
Yes.
well,
But
Why?
I was like, how
you were
come?
surprised first.
Because I was assigned to you, remember? I was always given the people that were considered difficult. Like,
You were
I
not
was-
difficult at all.
I didn't have any problem with you, and I didn't have any problem with Alex de Batak, but they were considered by Susan as the most difficult. I got along fine with both of you.
I had kind of a nice bunch of people on that photo shoot.
Yeah.
Like the brother of Inès de la Fressange, Yvan,
Yes, he was cool. He managed to-
Monsieur Picard.
They managed to keep their body parts. It was a one model, which that you
Katusha,
Katusha.
who
Oh, it
was
was the guy
not
with
with
the
us anymore.
glasses
Who?
that the guy with the glasses you gave maybe Katusha's bottom half to. It was just me and him. That
I'm not responsible for everything.
well, you were responsible.
Well, okay.
Because you were the art director. Anyway, that was 33 years ago. No, it was 1992, so 32
You were-
years ago.
Babies, but very happy ones.
Yeah.
I got good
That-
memories.
Yes, that was the only time Suzanne did Balade de L'Amour in Paris because she couldn't believe the lack of generosity of the French.
And do you think we added something to it? Or,
Yeah, I mean, I still have the invitation.
oh
And it
really?
was on the T-shirt too.
Oh wow.
Remember?
No, but I mean,
Yes,
I-
I have a very beat up T-shirt, but I kept it. I kept it.
fabulous.
And the
You have to show it to
magazine.
me.
I have the magazine.
And the magazine?
It's all falling apart because the binding wasn't very
Sounds like me.
Condé Nast. It was just, well, we're all falling apart.
No, I'm not falling apart. In fact,
Well-
I'm extremely happy to be French, Parisian
Did
again.
you take the nationality?
Not yet.
No, I
I'm
didn't.
working on it. I just thought, well, that's the last, that's
need
the
to,
exclamation mark on this journey.
You have residency, so who cares? I mean, do you want to
I
vote?
don't even know what I have.
Okay, well,
mean,
that's
have
between
I ever
you and the
cared?
world, you and the bureaucracy. So anyway, you left your town. We won't say where it was.
Exactly. Thank you.
When you were 17
Something like
or
this.
16 or 17.
Embarrassingly young.
And
I
you
ran
went off-
away and I went to. In fact, I came to Paris for a couple of days and I was so afraid that I would be deported back. That I took the boat to England. I thought somewhere geographically it's further and it's it won't be possible.
But your little
Anyway.
village is from, isn't it part of the European community? Where you came
No,
from?
I don't come from a village. I
Well,
come from a
you're-
big city, but
Well, you're a big
we
city.
still don't say the
Okay,
name.
with garlic and red peppers.
But yes, it's still at the time it belonged to Eastern Europe, very unkind Eastern Europe.
Right.
where there was no other choice than running away.
Yeah. But you know, like that Iggy Pop song, when you grow up, well, you don't consider it a small town, but, you know, compared to London, Paris,
Yes.
San Francisco, wherever you were, the only thing you want to do is leave.
Yes, there wasn't a shadow of a doubt. Absolutely not. I was very young, didn't know anything about the world, but I knew that I didn't want to live there any longer, and I didn't know how to go because I didn't have a passport, so I had to go through a very complicated procedure, but I was, I believe I was clever. And worked out a strategy. And I thought, well, if I work for the press, then I could travel as a journalist and they might give me some kind of an exception and visa. Yes. So I went for it. And I got a job at a magazine, and that's how it escalated.
Oh yeah, but you have to mention the magazine because it's not just any magazine that your first job was.
Well, the first job was in London after I finished my school, my diploma, and in business, fashion, communication. So I called magazines, and I wished to work with them, and nobody wanted to work with me.
You were speaking English at this point.
Well, broken English,
Yeah.
like Mary and Faithful, kind of with a different voice. And the last magazine on the list was British Vogue. And by that time I was exhausted, and I thought, well, of course, if all the other magazines rejected me, why would they consider?
Because they were probably the top of it.
I don't know. Yeah, I should have done it that way, but I didn't. So are you still recording?
I am, but I'm thinking I might as well lay it down because probably what we'll do is use the audio like you said. So maybe when I have it like this, I'm cutting it out. I'm not sure.
Yes,
What do you think? The mic is here, right?
Yes, absolutely. But so many years ago, I cut your legs off, and now you're cutting my head off. Is that the game? Okay.
Well, you don't want
No,
your head. You don't want to be...
The head should be anonymous. I like it that way.
It's anonymous.
So I can move in space and cities freely.
So you could send some pictures to go with the audio. Okay.
If you like.
So you went and you called.
So I went to the magazine for the appointment, and
well, you called and you said, "Can I speak to the art director?" And
Yes.
the person said, "I am the art director."
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. And he gave me an appointment literally the next day. I went in with my portfolio.
How unusual is that?
With drawings, but not fashion drawings. They were drawings from Valkyrie, the operas, and whatever, with strong women and long noses and characters. It's exactly the type of strong women. I always loved strong women. Yes, absolutely.
You should
and
ignite your
there was
friendship.
another girl, a model, Eugenie, who modeled for Gautier.
Yes,
So these
She modeled for me, too.
Anne Duong.
Right, she's a painter now.
She's a painter now, but I met her when she was first modeling with Patou at Patou for the first collection of Christian Lacroix. And it was just amazing little family.
He's a sweetheart, isn't he?
Absolutely. I mean,
He is really sweet. But okay, so you get the job.
I got a job.
So
I
this
got a
is
job introducing Comme des Garçons, Yoji Yamamoto, Issey Miyake for the British audience. And they gave me Peter Lindbergh as a photographer. So we mixed illustrations, because I was doing illustrations at the time, and his photography. and I'd never been more
Honored.
honored.
Yeah. He's genius. I mean, I never met him in person.
And so this is what happened, and then I stayed with the magazine and
For how long?
event for a few years, and started coming to Paris for the fashion shows, and that's how I got involved with the fashion scene here. And at one point,
He started doing.
French Vogue called me in London and invited me for a job to do a series of images for Comité Montaigne. And you know, Comité Montaigne is everybody. Dior, Chanel, Cartier, Montaigne, everybody on the... Actually, it was both illustrations and photography, but they gave me an absolute carte blanche to do whatever I wanted to do, and it was truly amazing because I eventually had to deal with the designers or the head of communication. And you know, these people, they are so unapproachable. You could never, ever meet them. So that was my first job, bang, 25 couture houses.
It's great.
It was amazing. And then Vogue offered me an exhibition and an opening, a cocktail, and they invited everyone at the
When
time.
was it?
At the auction house,
In the
Montaigne.
In the mid-'80s.
No, it was in 90, 89 or 90.
So it was just a couple years before we met.
Absolutely.
So you were riding high.
Yeah, so...
Was it going to your head?
No. I was very conscious. And I tried to keep my feet on the ground. It wasn't easy when you have such frivol life and parties and everything is going for you. But I loved I think what described my life at the time is the movie I saw, The Mépris.
Yes.
The architecture, the interior, and Cocteau, Colette, you know, the little salon they invited friends, and I thought, well, I'm working for one of the best magazine, why don't I do this? So I rented an enormous apartment just off Champs-Élysées, and I started inviting people. And I had practically no furniture, just candles, champagne, and a lot of music.
I don't remember ever being invited.
Well, because we haven't met at that time, not yet. I mean, you would have been there right away. So that went on for a few years, and I gradually grew into photography, fashion photography. And it's Harper's Bazaar in New York that gave me the first
Oh no, Stephen Gann?
chance. No, it was before. Just, you know, and you have to skip a few generations backwards, and that's me.
Well, I am.
It was well before him. Anyway, so that's how my life grew into the year 2000, when I was faced with the internet and animations and new technology, and I was looking for a way to present my portfolio, because by that time I had graphic works, illustrations, photography, video work, and what do you do with that? I mean, you can't just put it into a plastic photographic portfolio. So I got together with a charming young team, under 25, who were doing websites and whatever at the time, and we created a fabulous presentation, and I fallen in love with new media. So that was the point where I went to San Francisco to find out more. And as I told you earlier, I went there for a month and I stayed 5 years, like a French movie, just run down for a pack of cigs and don't come back for a while.
Yeah.
And San Francisco was like Les Mauvais Garçons, the bad young boys, where I just didn't understand anything. It was fascinating as much like
Cultural.
yes. My European upbringing was just totally useless there, and but I really enjoyed adapting and being in this David Lynch environment. And I started meeting artists and art galleries, interviewing people, which was amazing. One of them was the owner of a cafe which was very famous in the 50s, 60s, the Beat Generation, Jack Kerouac, and he's long before me. And the owner was Papa Gianni, who ran the cafe, and all three of them were playing the saxo and got really drunk, and they were reading poetry, and so I traced down the cafe. I went there, and surprisingly, I found Papa Gianni still alive at age 80.
How do you spell Papa Gianni?
Like Papa, P-A-P-A, and Gianni like Gianni.
Johnnny.
I will send it to you.
Yeah.
And then followed by many other interviews with artists.
And then
there was a little break in 2010-ish because of some personal reasons. My parents got ill, and I just thought that was more important than my career or whatever I did before. So I took off and I went back to them for a couple of years or so to ease their life. And that place was the initial country which I left, and I realized that nothing's much changed. And I disliked it just as much than when I left. Under it was a different situation, but it was anyway, it's not the place where I felt the most comfortable. However, a university proposed me to be a professor of the photographic department. So suddenly I was dealing with young photographers and students, and I took great interest to give them some of my experiences. And nobody understood my methods. Even I never taught anyone. It was just natural.
instinct.
Because I believe that you can't teach photography in a schoolroom with the neon lights. So every time I grabbed them and I took them to galleries, museums, musicians, advertising agencies, even to a cafe. And I said, well, we are in a Frenchy cafe, but don't think we are skipping our class. What does one do in a French cafe? Well, philosophy. So let's talk about Foucault.
Very good.
And they were just absolutely shocked. Like, what has it got to do with photography? And I said, everything. So they were kind of happy days in a very weird country. And then when things changed. I came back to Europe.
Your parents still alive?
I lost them eventually. And then I left the country, and I
Did you stay till their end?
yes.
That's good. Character.
It was important for me to take care of things to my capacity. And then I didn't know where to go. Should I go back to San Francisco? Should I go back to my beloved Paris? Or should I go back to England because I had a British passport?
So you still have a British passport?
I still have a British passport. So I decided to go back to England because I just wanted peace and quietness, and I at that
For
point.
a party boy to just want peace and quiet. I'm not so sure on that.
I'm telling you the truth.
The reality here. Okay.
She thinks it's funny, but I'm telling her the truth.
Okay.
So that lasted until 4 weeks ago.
But somewhere in between, you were living in Paris. When I met you, you were living in Paris.
Yes, when I was working with French Vogue
Yeah.
up until 2005,
Okay.
before San Francisco. So that's how.
But Balade de L'Amour was 91 or 92. And so you were here from
We have to
92
skip
to 205?
you have to talk in 20 years slots, Diane, otherwise we'll never finish this interview.
Okay. Okay.
Trying to, as they say, raccourcir the story, which is shorten.
Okay. So here we are in 2005, 19 years ago. So we only have one more chapter.
Well, yes, and then I was traveling, and in 2015 I've decided to come back to this part of the world, and that's when I moved back to England. And I did the same thing. I went to galleries, met artists, and I met an editor-in-chief of a magazine who immediately offered me to be the art editor, art list, and I've been doing interviews, articles for them. But it was kind of funny because he said, would you like to cover this event next week? And I said, sure, I mean, I'm going there anyway. Could you take some pictures? And I said, well, I think I could. But tell me, who's the journalist? And he said, it's you. I said, come on. So, writing is, however, it's a different. It's different.
Yeah.
And punctuation in English is very, very important. So it took me like an hour to write something and a whole week to figure out the punctuation.
Now you can put it through.
No, I know where to put the punctuation. Don't worry. And that great job lasted until 2020, until COVID. And at that time everybody was grabbing and holding on to their jobs. And I thought, maybe this is the time to leave and do my own magazine. So this is what happened. And 2020 was probably the worst year for everyone, but professionally it was the best year for me. I've been asked by Cartier to collaborate with them again. They were putting up a traveling exhibition for Panthère. Assouline in New York contacted me. They were doing 2 books. One was on Cartier, so I said, okay, I mean, we are already in the soup, it's fine. And the other one was Marrakesh with Marissa Berenson. And I go to Marrakesh all the time because of 154. 154, the contemporary African photographic art fair, which is really big in London during Frieze Week in October. and in Marrakesh in February, and in New York for a few days during the summer. So I do both London and Marrakesh. And let me tell you, going to Marrakesh in February, 30 degrees sunshine, doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I was in Marrakesh on Christmas.
It's fabulous, and I love the culture. And I have a lot of good friends there.
What's the
And
name of the guy that has this shop? He's a designer.
artsy,
Artsy.
fabulous, very talented.
Yes, I met him when he was in Paris. This collection or a book or something, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I'm sure you know him. Yeah.
So 2020 was a fabulous year, and also Anish Kapoor contacted me,
He's
and Renzo Rosso from Italy, and he wanted to buy some art, so I just helped him, and everybody turned out to be happy. And the cherry on the cake was a very strange message on Instagram from a girl called Corey Coppola. And I said, what? A Coppola? I mean, this must be a fake account.
No, I know
So
her.
she sent me a message, and then I did not reply, and then she sent me another one. There she mentioned a name which nobody else would know, and I thought, So I messaged back, are you for real? So we just had a great giggle and a laugh and started to talk, and we never stopped. And we became extremely good, close friends. And literally weeks later, we started working on various film projects in distance. Because she was living in Paris at the time. I was in London. But every morning at 10 a.m., bang, like 10 a.m.
She was on
Exactly.
my jury before, and she also presented a film, did a discussion, a couple of editions ago. She's dead, you know.
I know. I'm so sorry. She was in your jury
Yeah.
just a year before, in November,
Yeah.
and she died in January.
I know. It was
It's
shocking.
it's someone I miss greatly. We had the best arguments, best fights ever, but stayed
Yeah, friends.
friends.
Yeah.
Well, stayed friends. I mean, you know, that's just
Right.
creative fights are very
Yeah, it was
Good.
shocking for all of us. Yeah, she has so many problems with her daughter who does self-harm.
I know. I mean, we shared.
I wonder how she's
Is this
doing.
still part of the interview?
Well, we won't. Whatever. She's
Whatever.
dead. She's
Okay.
dead.
But by that time, she became a very, very close friend. I mean, imagine spending every single day, except weekends. That was the only time I gave her back to her husband. But
Living with her ex-husband.
well, yes, life is complicated. I mean,
Yeah.
Paris is,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
it's
So
like this.
then,
And then when I lost her, who was my producer,
right?
unfortunately our beautiful project died.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Happened with
yes, I could have looked for another producer, but I just didn't feel happy about it, and I thought, well, maybe this is a sign to do something else. And what? So I thought, well, I don't have to look for anything. I already have it. Journalism. Let's go back to writing, interviewing, and why don't I do my own magazine for a change? So this is what happened. I never thought, however, it is going to be so painful, because I launched quite a few magazines for others, and it's just under my thumb.
right.
And I thought, well, doing it for myself is just a routine job. Let me tell you, no, because perfectionist, and it lasted like a year and a half. It's like being pregnant for a year and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't imagine how painful that is.
No, I can.
And at one point, I just pushed the child out, and I said, "Well, just go and live your life. Let's do it." So it's been a year now, and the magazine is online. It's called The Instigator, and I love instigating. We have 12 columns that covers mainly contemporary art and culture. And in culture you've got everything, dance, music, design, architecture, travel, gastronomy, technology, and critical thoughts. Everything what makes life miserable. That's a nice little column for that. And here I
Do
am.
you still write?
Yes, absolutely. A lot. And I realized that most of my clients and previous clients were French. And nothing seemed more logical than moving the magazine and myself and my life to Paris. And just on a sideline, off record, London is not the London I've fallen in love with at the moment. I was very grateful that at a very young age I became British. I will never forget that.
Because you had no passport and somehow you strategized and figured it out.
It's another film. So let's not say bad things about the country, but it's not going the way I'd like to have my life at the moment. So I made the crucial decision to leave everything behind and come and start a new chapter, a totally new chapter. And I'm on the moon. I'm just absolutely thrilled and reconnaissant in French and humble, believe it or not. Finally, we arrived to this, but I am.
I'm not so sure we've arrived.
And here I am.
End of story.
End of story. Bang.